Hey everybody, Brad Greenfield back here again for some more Excel 2013 training. And in this video, we're going to be talking about formatting charts, giving them a different look and feel, or different visual look, maybe even changing some charts. So I'll just jump right in here and create a chart on the fly, just so we have something to kind of start with here. And I'm going to highlight this data area. And again, notice I'm not highlighting the totals, because if I did that, then that would really skew the way that the chart looked and felt. So if I click on the quick analysis button, which is generated after I highlight a data set, then I will get several options here. And the options I'm looking for right now are charts, and I'm going to have it just give me this clustered column chart here. Okay, so there's real easy way to get a chart. All of our information is here. I can do a switch row and column up here on the top if I wanted to, just to give it a kind of a different feel to the chart. So if I clicked on that, now we can see our regions are grouped and the animals have different color bars. If I switch that back, then our animals are grouped and the regions have different colored bars. So if I don't like this chart, I can always go in and change it. Now up here when I created the chart, I got a Chart Tools ribbon here, and I have Design and Format. Sticking in the Design, I can click on the Change Chart Type and get a look at what this may look like if I went some other way. So right now it's a clustered group. Maybe I want to do a stacked column. You know, that's a little hard to read. I don't really like that too much, but there may be a situation where you do want something like that. You can do 3D stacked columns. This one looks visually kind of attractive, but it's hard to really see exactly what's going on and see the exact numbers. So, while it may look good, it's hard to really see. I could go into a line chart if I wanted to, several different options there. And I could do a pie. Pie wouldn't really work out too well here. For pie charts usually only work well if you have one set of data kind of going in, and we'll get into pie charts here in just a minute. But the main ones that you're going to stick with for the purpose of what you guys are going to be doing are probably going to be either the column, line, pie, or bar charts. Some of these others have some relevance, and you can definitely get in and play with those and see what you like the best. But these are the ones that you're going to deal with most. And again, that 3D look, I like the way that looks. It may not be appropriate for everything that you're doing. So that's a way that we could change. For the purpose of this video, I'm going to stick with what we have here. And now I'm going to look at manipulating this actual chart. So first thing we notice is chart title. Probably not the best idea of what we want as a chart title. So if I click, and as I mouse over this chart, you can see that I get these little pop-up options. So it gives me a chance that I can actually change every element here on this chart. So I'll start with the chart title, and with that highlighted, I can go into my formula bar and just type in state livestock show. I'll add numbers and hit enter, and now my chart title is changed. But if you look here, I already have that here in this cell. It's actually in cell A1, and I did a merge and center. So let me undo that and get it back to chart title. So with chart title selected, if I click into the formula bar and select the enter button and then select the title here and press enter, now my title is actually fed in through this. So if you didn't want to type anything, you wanted to just get that title in there, you could definitely do that. So now with my title in there, the grid lines are good, but I want to see them a little more prominent. So if I click on the grid lines, you can see now all of these grid lines are highlighted. And if I do a right click and format grid lines, and again, just to show you, anything that I click, so if I click on this axis here and do a right click, it's now format major grid lines. Or sorry, format axis. So you can format just about everything from anywhere in here. But I'm going to click back on my grid lines, right click, and do format grid lines. And I am going to make them a little bit more of a wider width there. So if I'm going to put them up to 2, and that's probably going to be too big. But you can see as I'm going, and let me change the color so we can really get a good vision. As I'm going up, you can see that they are increasing on the fly. Now you can get to where it's a little bit too much, so I'm going to scale that back down to just a 1.25. Actually, I'm going to go to 0.5. but leave them as a black color so they're really easy to see. I'm going to tone that down just a little bit here, make them kind of a gray color. There's many different options that you can do in here. And the next thing I notice here is my chart does go up to 300. Let me just close out this formatting tool here. Chart goes up to 300. You know, that's because I've got it incrementing by 50, and I go a little bit over that 250 number right there. But let's say I want to drop that down to maybe just have it top out at 275, so it'll compress that. So if I click on this axis and do a right click and then format axis, the first option that I get is my axis options, and you can see minimum is 0 and maximum is 300. I could change that if I wanted to. Let's see, my minimum is actually, well, my minimum does start at 4, so I can't really go much below that 0 or much above that 0. Let me get back in here. I seem to have gotten out of that a little bit. Okay, so I can't change that much from 0, but I could change that maximum. Let's say that I want to change that from 300 to 260. Hit enter. And I want to change that. It changed that minimum for me. I want to change that back to 0. And I'm going to increment. Okay, so now when I did that, a reason it changed it to that negative 40 is because I have the major units of I have incrementing by 10. Okay, so that's why I tried to go, since I went 260, it tried to go negative 40, but I was able to change that. So now my top maximum here is 260. So the chart's a little bit more narrow, and I can actually have this increment if I wanted to by 10. And that's a little bit too busy, so I'm going to leave that back at 50. Hit enter. So you can see there's different ways that we can go about changing all of this, and I could change even the individual series types. You see when I clicked on the orange here, which represents central, it highlights every one of them. So I could do some changing of those if I wanted to, specifically that data set or that data group. Again, if I click on the Western, which is blue, that will change. If I click on the Eastern, you'll see that change. So really interactive way to do it. Now, as you notice, as I'm interacting with this chart, I have these 3 buttons here on the side, and those 3 buttons give me a list of several options of what I could do. So let me close this out and just show you. If I click on the plus here, I can actually add some chart elements. So axis title, we could add that if we wanted to. If I wanted to add data labels, we can see what that'll do. And because I have that this Eastern region highlighted, it's only putting it for those. So let me unhighlight those and just do data labels. Now we can see that. So, you know, that may be an option if you have a situation arise where you need to put some data labels to make it a little bit clearer. We could do a data table at the bottom so that it gives us a really clear picture of exactly what we're looking at. Bars of error, and that gets into a little bit of statistical analysis that I really don't know much about. We could completely remove the grid lines if we wanted to. We could remove the legend if we wanted to, or we could put a trend line in there. You know, it doesn't really make much sense to do it here on this worksheet, but we could definitely do that. Let me just click undo to get, well, I'll just unclick that trend line. So that's what the little plus icon will do. The paintbrush icon will work with some formatting. So there's many different ways that we can format here to make it look visually more attractive. You know, you can almost get into too much here. If you played with it for quite a while, you'd get into where you can see that maybe you may make it a little bit too busy. And then the last button is just the filter. You know, we could take out different regions, or we could take out different animals if we wanted to. It's just checking a box. So it's really easy to work with our data set here. So while we have this, I do want to talk about some formatting. The white color may not be visually attractive to you. As I click on the chart again, I get my chart tools back up here. So let's say that I want that chart to have this black background, but the actual plot area, as you can see, as I'm in the plot area, I want that to be a different color. So with the right now I have the whole chart area selected. If I mouse down here, you can see that I get that little bubble that pops up that says plot area. If I select that and I go from my design tools into my format tools, I can do a shape fill, and it's going to fill that rectangle shape that is my plot area. So if I click a drop down, let's just say you can mouse over this and get some ideas of what this looks like. I'm going to go with just a, well, nothing really looks overly impressive to me. Let me say I'll just go with just a lighter color, maybe a gray. Now that may not be the most visually attractive, but the point is here that we can change a lot of our viewing or our visual elements to this. And here still in the chart tools in the format tab, if I go over here to the far left in the current selection, I can do the drop down and see all the different chart elements here. So let's say that now that I've changed it to that color, you can't really see the grid lines. I want to make those grid lines a little bit more prominent. Okay, so if I clicked on the vertical axis major grid lines and I did a the shape outline and change that color here, let's say I want to make that a solid black, I could do that. I could click on my title, I could go into shape fill outline and change that to a actually I'd go into the shape fill and change that to a different color, so I could change that to just whatever color I wanted. With the chart title still highlighted, I could actually go in here and change the way that that font looks. You know, I can change the font color if I wanted to. So I will go in here and change that to a red. You know, there's so many different options that we could do here in dealing with these. So, you know, this is really a lot of trial and error. You know, I could go through a lot of this stuff or all of this stuff and take a whole lot of time, but you know, it's really just the, you know, once we have the chart and the data, then it's just tweaking it to make it look the way that we want it to look. So, last thing I want to cover here is pie charts. And let me just get rid of this chart altogether. I'm just going to cut that and get rid of it. So pie charts are a really neat visual. I like using pie charts, but one thing that you need to be aware of on pie charts is they don't generate negatives very good. So you can see here in this data set, I just did animal the change from previous year, and I threw in a negative number here for the goats. So if I highlight this data set, do my quick analysis, go into charts and click on pie. Here's our pie chart. And again, several different ways that we can interact with that. But if I mouse over this little section here, we can see that series total change point goat value -25, -5%. Well, in this pie chart, it's pretty much saying that that piece of pie is -5. So that's not really going to work for us on a pie chart. So, well, that's some more formatting with charts, and we'll be back with some more Excel 2013 training soon.